Hello again. I bought a job lot of electrical equipment quite recently, and this is one of the more interesting items that was part of that job lot. It's a Philips CD350, and it's quite an early CD player. It's got quite a nice display to the front, really sort of captures 80s style, I would say. It's also has, instead of a play, it has a start, which is another kind of feature from some of the earlier CD players of the time. And I don't know if this works, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to power it up and see if I can get anywhere with it. And I thought I would make a video about it in the process. So I got hold of this a few weeks ago, and I've not taken the screws out. The screws were already taken out of the case, so that's why the lid comes off like this. So let's put that down, and inside we have a very dirty, full of cobwebs, probably some dead spiders in here as well, we'll find out later. A very kind of straightforward board, just a single board there, which has the DACs on. So interestingly, the two DACs here are 14-bit and not the 16-bit, which is what you would associate with CD players. Moving along, this is the drive for the CD. Quite a cumbersome thing by the looks of it, but I would say it's probably it probably lasted a long time. Looking underneath, there's actually a control board for the CD drive. You can kind of just see that under my finger there. So that's part of it. And there's a very rusty looking transformer on the mains power supply, which goes in at that top left corner. There's a fuse as well. So I don't know if this powers up yet. We're going to have a look and see. Power is switched on at the wall. So this is taking a 240 volts power supply as standard. I haven't checked the back actually to see if it's a power supply that can support different voltages. As it's a Philips, it would have been a European market item, so I very much doubt it does work on American voltages. But let's have a quick look before I power it up. So to confirm, yes, it's a 240 volt CD player only. It's got a reasonably small serial number, I would say, on here. Or is that the serial number down there? Probably this one, isn't it? So looks like it's been safety tested many years ago by someone. So that's 2011. And it's got a DIN, which was, I guess, quite common on sort of cassette recorders and things from this kind of age. It's got the output here for the left and right channels. It's got quite a hefty heatsink on the back there. So that's probably quite a good thing. Maybe that's helped it along over many years, but it's also got some cutouts, so maybe this was for a player that was slightly better than this. So this is obviously the CD350. It says 05R on there. Digital out. Is that remote? I can't tell. This have had a infrared remote perhaps, or possibly not. Let's have a look at the front again. No sign of remote on here. There is a headphone socket, which is good. I can obviously put my headphones in before I do anything else to see if I can hear anything. Let's give it a power up. I'd happy if I turned it on. There you go. So it's got time track. So this is a mode for the display, track or time. Defaults to track. So we'd imagine it's just going to tell us track number possibly, without any time information. So I've got a repeat function. I don't know if that just repeats the whole CD again when it gets to the end. There's a previous and a next on there. So that's track, isn't it? And there's a program as well. So it will let you program what tracks you want to play. So as I mentioned before, it's got a start, a replay, it says here, a search, obviously backwards and forwards, pause, and a stop. So it looks quite straightforward, doesn't it? Let's see if we can open the tray. So it doesn't want to open. It says on there, single beam laser tracking. That's spinning, so that looks like it's trying to do something. Oh, okay, so this looks to me as being possibly a bout issue, although it's working there, isn't it? So that's something I could look at changing, but first things first, let's see if we can get the device to accept a CD. How's this working here? So here, there's like a stop on this cog, and you can actually manually roll it out. Oh, that's really good actually. Where's the laser? The laser's over there. So the design of this CD drive is very prehistoric, and it's a cheapened version of a earlier drive, which was all metal, I believe, but it's probably over-engineered for the time. Well, possibly not over-engineered for the time, but you definitely wouldn't get CD players with these type of drives now. No way. Let's get a CD in there, shall we? Am I going to find that the laser's kaput? So just a random CD. That's quite quiet. Okay, that's quite hopeful, isn't it? There's an error light on here. That hasn't come up. So let's just press play. That is so quiet when it's playing. On this track display, index 1, that's shifting it along. I'm not quite sure why the 1's there. So this is the track. On track 3 now. It's relatively quick, isn't it? Let's try time. Ah, that's better. That's what I like to see. That's what we're all used to seeing, aren't we? We're all used to seeing seconds counting. Did you see that? It's got a slight lead in on that first track. So if I go back, there you go. Just a second or so before it started. So with the time being displayed, unless you're listening, you don't know what track you're on until you do that. Excellent. What's the search like? I'm a bit confused because I bought a job lot of electronics, and this seems to be something that, although it was missing its screws, does seem to be working. The only thing I can think is maybe the previous owner who had difficulty with this drawer opening at certain times. So maybe it would be good for me just briefly to see if I can get this out and do something about the bout. Whether or not I've got one that fits that, I don't know what the size is. Let's get the headphones in, I think, because we need to know. There you go, it's told me it's 13 tracks altogether when I stop, which I think is right. Yeah. Okay, let's get headphones. Alright, I've got the headphones. I just noticed there's no volume control on the front, so I would imagine that it's a standard chosen output that they were happy to fix for the headphones. So that's that. That's my playing. Well, that's the result, isn't it? It's definitely playing that CD. A lot of my CDs kind of come from the 90s, maybe a few in the 80s, but 90s and maybe early 2000s. So for it to be reading that CD, it seems to be coping with that, so that's good. I wonder if it will play CDs on CDRs. I might have to try a bit later. I'm just looking now. I can see on this side that there is about right down in there. There's also some micro switches here, which I guess inform it when it's loaded the CD, so it can spin up. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? This setup, the sort of 2 DAC, the 14-bit ones here, this was done by Philips in anticipation. I think at the time the standards for CD were being decided over, so they did some clever stuff here, and I'll add a little bit more information about that at the end of this video. In the meantime, let's get this off if I can. I just found the problem, I think, with the open. When there's a CD in there, it's struggling to open it, so that's probably why it's being taken apart and not really fixed any further. So to get the CD out, you have to manually do this. So maybe the previous owner just thought, oh, I can do that myself, I don't need to change about. I don't think he did. He just probably thought, I can't be bothered to go any further with this. It's interesting to put some CDs that I know quite well, put those through it and see what the sound's like. So I'm looking forward to that part. But in the meantime, because I want to get this cleaned up and also make it a bit safer, I need to get some screws that are going to fit into the case, but also I want to change that bout. So let's go ahead and do that now. These look like little Torx style screws here. They look like a slim enough standard screwdriver would also open those up. My screwdriver is a Torx, it's a T10, that's the one that's being used here. So inside it's a CDM 2/10, that's the model of this disk drive caddy. It's quite a big switch there. So it's a standard switch with quite a nice chunky bit of plastic in the case. that's kind of in the area that I'm looking at this bout. What I need to do is locate the screws for this. Maybe they're underneath actually. Push that back in and have a look. So I've just taken the front off. I've not unplugged anything yet because I'm kind of too scared to do that in case I break any connectors, because they're going to be a little bit weak now, aren't they, these plastics? I don't want to break it if I can help it. There's some screws underneath, 4 screws, which seem to hold the power supply at the back. But what I've noticed is there's only one kind of screw I can see at the moment that's preventing this whole thing from coming out. And I think it's just this one here. It's got this big washer and it's fairly free moving around that. Pull it up, and I pull that up, and then, oh, it's just rested on the springs. And just pull it out. There's that in the way. So I just tried to loosen this and see if I can move it forward, but you can't. You need to take the whole thing out. It actually goes all the way through. So that's the same size head as the case screws on the front panel. I'm really liking this bit of kit. Talk about making it easy for the assembler to take things apart. So as you saw, there's just that single screw. Everything's connected up still, but I've just been gentle and just raised it enough to have a look at what I've got on this side, and this is the bout. Straightforward bout. It's probably lost some of its tension. Okay. And when you're taking things apart, sometimes it's worth keeping hold of old bouts that you remove from things, because they may be big enough still to fit other devices and work with those. Now, I'm not saying I'm doing that now because I'm just looking through my box of bouts, but I've found a bout that looks very similar to this one on the right. So I'm going to put that in and give that a quick go. Okay, so it's opened empty. Will it now open with a CD in there? Will it still play the CD? Let's just play it first. Okay, now let's stop. Oh, there's a time, 47:47. Excellent. Looks like it's working reasonably well. When this CD loads, this top part just moves down and the magnet basically holds the disc in place. The laser is there. Now I've got access to the laser, I will give it a very gentle wipe with a cotton wool bud, but I will not put anything on it. I won't risk putting any lens cleaner on it or alcohol. Okay, just giving it a very light clean. And that, did you see the difference there? Let's load it again. There you go. It seems to load fine. Just testing. So what I noticed is the transport's got some springs at the front that it just kind of rests on. I guess it's got a similar thing at the back as well. Yeah, you can see it. Just here, some little springs under there. Yeah, just make sure that you don't drop those out. That feels okay on that side. So I think we're all good to go. Find some screws to put this lid on, and I'll be able to move it upstairs to the rest of the hi-fi and disconnect the current Technics Mesh one, which I've got in there, and give this a go. But I better hoover out that, I think, at least wipe it out. Okay, it's looking a bit cleaner there now. I'm not going to clean the boards, and I didn't really gain any access to underneath here, but as it is reading and seems to be playing, I'm quite happy to just leave it alone for now and try to enjoy it. So as mentioned, this has got the 2 chips here with these DACs. They're TDA1540, and it's also got a digital filter, which is this chip here. And incidentally, the CD350 is the same inside as the CD150, but the 350 has got a few extra features on the front. The use of the 14-bit digital to analog converters, so we have one on the left channel, one on the right channel, that's why there's 2. At the time, they were better than the 16-bit converters, so they worked over a wider temperature range, and with the oversampling they were able to match the output of a 16-bit DAC. So on paper they look very good and very stable, so that was why Philips went down that route, but it wasn't long and everyone was just using 16-bit DACs. But at the time, these chips here were very good and very long lasting as well, as we can see from this machine. There's some really good articles online where you can read more about why Philips started out using the 14-bit DACs, and I will add some links into the video for you to have a look at, because they do explain better than I could. What I'm finding is it does seem to be losing some of the definition that was there before. It's definitely a sharper, more edgy sound. Definitely would suit 80s synth music. Gary Newman, maybe some Depeche Mode, you know, the sort of stuff from the 80s and the 90s. I'm going to just try a couple more tracks from a different type of album. So the previous one was The Killers, and this is Fleetwood Mac. So I hope that gives you a very slight appreciation of the difference in the sound. I'm going to leave this in my setup for the weekend, and I'm going to play a few different CDs and see if I can get used to the sound. It's definitely a sound that you would have to get used to after listening to newer CD players, I would say. But any case, not bad sounding really for the age, and maybe suited to the type of electronic music that was around at the time. Look at that disc spinning in there. That's fantastic, isn't it? Even got a light on the top there so you can see it. Brilliant. Brilliant 80s nostalgia. Thank you for watching. Please can you subscribe and like the videos, and I will do some more videos in the future. Bye for now.